Ever wonder what happened to the crazy, beautiful people of the swinging 60s, who sang All You Need Is Love and grew up believing the world would be a better place, full of free love, free drugs, and free sex? Well, they turned into the most discontented generation in history. Disillusioned, exasperated, irritated, downright bloody grumpy.
All these trendy Wendy's destroying education. I want to kill them.
It's the cult of the moron.
Politician after politician gets up there and talks a load of crap.
Burglars' rights are seriously advanced as a concept.
Everyday swearing is marvellous.
Venal, disgusting, revolting.
All you've got left in life is to hate Manchester United, because Liverpool aren't going to win anything.
I'm very, very much in favour of feminists, especially the ones with really big tits, you know. I mean...
The drug-induced dreams of our grumpy old men have all turned to dust. And since it can't possibly be our fault, we have to work out who on earth to blame. So we blame bloody women. We blame our kids. We blame politicians. We blame the royal family. And, of course, we blame the telly.
And I blame the whole kind of... I blame everybody, in fact, except me.
So where did it all start to go wrong? As young Brits in the 60s and 70s, we thought we had it all. Great clothes, great music, and great sex. The trouble was that the same freedom that meant that women could have sex with us also gave them freedom from some of the other shackles of the past, such as looking after us.
For centuries, thousands of years, we got away without doing the washing up, without being attentive, good dads and crap in bed.
I must go and get the boys' supper on.
We were marvellous at that for thousands of years, and now all of a sudden we're expected to look at, you know, white bottoms and be there at the school and cook dinner and do all these things. We're not used to it, and we should try, we men. But it's hard because we've had millions of years of being the boss and doing nothing.
I don't understand women. I love them dearly. I do. I adore women. It's probably half my problem. I love women's company. I love being with women. I'm an old-fashioned type of romantic. I like going out for dinner, doing the things. I like going on trips. I don't understand them.
Virtually every single woman I've been out with makes an issue of how much sport I watch, and there's always this thing about, oh, you're not watching sport again, are you? Oh no, oh God, it's not football again. Like I'm doing something, you know, you'd think like I was like sticking a skewer through my head or something.
And not content with undermining the way we're used to doing things, modern women make it all worse by being so much more emotionally well-balanced than we are.
I mean, you watch women talking, they're straight into sort of emotions and sort of like illnesses and sex and all that stuff. And men just don't talk like that. You've got to find something to talk about, to have any sort of sense of, you know, unless you're completely plastered.
Women are all sitting around at weddings talking about, oh, doesn't she look lovely, or it won't last, or he's having an affair, blah, blah, blah. It's all about people and relationships. Bloke says, so which way did you come then? Well, I came on the B106. Oh, you come that way, did you? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, well, I come on the motorway, which is it's quicker, but it's actually longer. Oh, right, yeah. What are you driving nowadays? You know, I've got Vectra outside.
And while we were talking about the inside leg measurement of the overhead camshaft, women were talking about sweeping away the shackles of the past. Women's lib. We didn't mind them burning their bras. Indeed, that had a welcome upside. It's just that we felt our sensitive areas might be next on the arson list.
Judy goes ballistic if I don't open the car door for her. I have a colleague who's recently left us, a woman, who several times after we'd had a meeting, we'd cross the corridor for lunch and she'd be in front of me and I'd open the door for her and she'd bristle. This is an intelligent, professional, likeable, humorous woman, but she got very cross and it was a lot of anger had been building up inside her, and she said, well, it's because it's patronising. I said, I don't mean it to be. So, no, you don't. That's what's called unconscious sexism.
I think men are very confused about what a man should be, because there was that awful sort of tying willies in knots period in the sort of 70s and 80s where men were sort of, you know, going to men's groups and feeling really guilty about the fact that they were born into the wrong sex. And then there was the backlash and the sort of new laddism where it seemed to be fine to be into pornography and into being loutish.
You know, it's like feminism never happened. It's like going back in time. It's all gone end of the pier. And the blokes are all a bit want their dinner on the table. You know, it's all a bit like, where are you? Where were you? Come on, here you are. You think, hang on, what is that? Where have you seen? Did you watch a movie or something?
After millions of years of striving to be the alpha male, for the breadwinner who came home and wanted his tea on the table, it was all very difficult. One way of coping, our grumpy old men were told, was to get in touch with their feminine sides. And to be fair, some of them tried.
You know, I had this theory that I was a bit of a new man. And my theory was that you could measure how much of a new man you are by how far you let a girl or a woman go past you in the street, walking the other way, that you quite fancy, before you turn round and have a look at her bottom. And I reckon I'm about a 5-yarder, which is pretty good going, actually. Don't get much more new than that.
There's this phrase, just gay enough, which is ridiculous, really, because it's nothing to do with being gay. But, you know, a guy might oil his motorbike, come up, have a shower, make passionate love to his girl, and then whiz up a beautiful spaghetti carbonara for both of them. Classic instance is David Beckham. The time when Ferguson kept him on the substitutes bench, he then came onto the pitch, scored an absolutely brilliant and absolutely essential goal while wearing an Alice band. I thought times are very strange. You know, Tom Finney, eat your heart out.
Well, it seems to me that there is a viable model of masculinity there to be reassumed, and it's to do with the concept of honour, terribly unfashionable. It's to do with keeping your promises. It's to do with comporting yourself. It's to do with not exploiting people sexually. It's to do, dare I say it, with exercising restraint and fidelity in certain contexts, and we've kind of forgotten about that stuff.
So, to be what was called a new man, we had to adjust all our natural behaviour to accommodate the new demands of women. We were just getting used to that when, somewhere along the line, we found ourselves doing the same for the kids.
There seems to have been some sort of trick played on my generation, whereby when we were children, we had to do everything that the grown-ups were doing, so that when my parents went to the pub, I'd be sitting in the car fighting with my brother, emptying the reservoir on the windscreen washers and reading the AA road manual for 1966. Where now that I've grown up, I spend my time sitting on miniature trains and riding around Chessington World of Adventures, doing exactly what my children want to be doing, and I'm not quite sure where the contract was altered.
I really do want a reversal back to my youth when my old man pitched up. Once in my school career, I didn't feel that I was being abandoned. I didn't want him near the school. I didn't want my teachers talking to him, you know. He showed up once when I was, I think, in the Black and White Minstrels. There I was in, like, you know, black tie going, yo, who do I know, whatever I was doing. You know. Now, for 20 years, I've been showing up at these woeful assemblies where the children chirp with their dreadful spare me child choruses. Let's not pretend anything. School plays are universally and uniformly shite. And, you know, if you don't have your camera to film your loved one, you know, the children feel somehow put out. There's a scrum at the front. And there is a scrum of parents jostling and standing up to hear drivel. It has to be said, you know, drivel. I know they're trying to make the children and the parents feel involved. Go away. Leave us alone. We're adults, they're children.
My mother always said, she's an interesting and amusing woman and very popular, but not particularly maternal. And she always used to say that she never really understood what we were for. And, I mean, I don't understand what our children are for, but, you know, we get on well enough that they can call me a dozy prick and stuff like this. If I'd wanted to call my dad something like that, I'd have had to get in the car, drive into Wales, think it, and then come back again. You know, I mean, I wouldn't have dared say anything like that.
And while you and your brother were sent to the school down the road, made to wear your tie and cap, bullied by the lower sixth and told to be grateful, today it's all so much more complicated. Everywhere we look, hyper-parented little Damians and Chloes, nothing's too good for them, all dressed up, overindulged and overconfident little tykes who need a good slapping.
I am getting increasingly grumpy about snobby people not admitting they're snobs. They say things like, little Timothy, my little Timothy, he's very bright, you know, so we think we're going to have to send him private. And it's like, well, so my kid's really stupid, is he? That's why I'm going state. My little Jonathan's particularly stupid, so we're going for the state sector. And they'll say things like, oh, we would have loved to go to the local primary, but we just couldn't get in. We couldn't get in. And it's like, right, so you wrote one letter and didn't hear and didn't follow up with a phone call, so they'll spend £10,000 sending their kid off to some expensive, driving them in the 4x4 halfway across London to go to some expensive ghetto where all the children are exactly like them.
We spent 50,000 years climbing out of the swamps, and we get out and we produce children who are absolutely useless. I can't, you know, they get to teenagers and they, you know, I mean, they go washing up in a cafe or something and they complain the work's too hard. Absolutely wankers.
Which is more or less what their parents thought about the layabouts who grew up to be today's grumpies, who then went off to university to do what you're supposed to do at university. Take mind-expanding drugs and talk till 4 in the morning about the meaning of life and plan tomorrow's demo against American imperialism. But that's not good enough for the kids of today, is it? Oh no. All they care about is passing their exams and repaying the student loan so they can get on the housing ladder.
And what students are absolutely preoccupied by is the fact that they have to take out massive bank loans in order to get themselves through college. And I think that does put off people from entering higher education from less economically privileged backgrounds. Let's make no bones about it. But I do think that higher education should be a time when you do sit around having a lot of sex and doing recreational drugs, learning a bit, and being radical. Yeah, that's what it's about. The students should be an absolute hotbed of radicalism, and they certainly aren't. They're a rather cold, limp, IKEA, juvenile